Oi, I've been caught on Camden Cap. No, I wasn't doing anything naughty. I wasn't. Honestly, I was rearranging my script. Anyway, I am Stamford Chidge. I wasn't really, Jonathan. I am Stamford Chidge. Do not believe what Jonathan Kidd says. I am Stamford Chidge. This is the Chelsea FanCast. These are the lovely lads that I go to the games with, and they sit on a sofa for me. Well, I don't go with Jonathan.
Never been to a game with you in my life.
Well, that's because he sits in the posh seats. But we've got Don Tamar, we've got Pablo, and we've got Jonathan Kidd. Lovely. And on the other side of the studio, somewhere in TV land, we've also got the lovely Benches. Well done, Benches. Nice to see you.
We love you, Benches.
All right, now we're going to talk about the Chelsea versus Leicester game. I am astonished to know. It's actually quite fun. We've only got one game a week. We can do fun things. But we touched on a little bit of this when we were talking about the ratings. But, I mean, you know, I did say in the intro, it's a game of two halves. And it did remind me very much of last season, Jonathan, when we were playing teams like Leicester.
Well, completely and utterly. And I thought that was what he'd bought all the new players for, and the midfield was supposed to be working to eradicate that. So
yeah.
We started off in the manner to which we wanted to be carrying on playing.
To the manner ball?
Indeed. Indeed.
I mean,
were you ever to the manner ball?
No, I wasn't.
It's not simple enough just to say that new players are going to remedy a team playing 11 men behind the ball constantly, which is what would happen. The only difference this year is we scored.
But I still think the level of energy you would have hoped would be up, because he says he's got the team that he wants now.
But there's only a limited amount of things you can do when you've got no space.
Yeah, but if they are still playing in a sluggish manner and they're giving the ball away, is that because the other team has been set up to prevent them from playing, even though they're much better players?
Yeah, and that's how they're able to do it. I mean, we've seen Chelsea do it in the past as well. Is this something we have to come to terms with? And
but it's a bit. I tell you what, though. Hang on a minute. It's a bit disappointing because I mean, you know, last week or a couple of weeks ago, Jose was saying, "Oh, but you know, this year I know how to, we know how to break down these defences." I don't think actually. I mean, I do think that Leicester were really well organised and played well actually that first half. To be utterly fair, but I don't think it was our kind of dozy inability to unlock defences like last season. I just think they were just off the tempo. They weren't at it enough. And I think that's... And I mean, I've got some lovely quotes here, Pablo. You're going to love this. Can I just read a few?
Yes.
I'm not going to do the voice, all right?
No, I wouldn't want you to.
But he says, Jose said, in the first half, the team was lazy, and I did not like that. But they improved in the second half, and they won, which is the most important thing. I'm agreeing with all this. At half-time, we had to be a bit emotional with them. So what did he do? Did he do a bit of a Vinnie Jones? Lads, it's been emotional. I mean, you know, maybe he gave him a bit
was it the hairdryer?
Bullet tooth treatment.
Did he cry?
I don't know, maybe. Anyway, see, I told them the way we were playing was not good enough to win the game and that we were at risk. So, you know, it's impossible to play football if you do not win 1 second ball. It was basic. But important things. I mean, you know, you get the gist of it, and I think there's a really good point there. You know, they weren't at it. They weren't, at it. That's the best way to describe it.
That was what I thought, Chidge. I watched the first half. I thought nobody's actually doing anything wrong. There's just not enough urgency about it, and it was reminiscent of last season, which is very worrying.
But it wasn't as if Leicester deliberately just defended. They were still quite an attacking.
No,
They were counter-attacking.
Yeah. They did it very well.
Opportune moments rather than actually setting out to
defend.
Attack,
and if anything, they had the better chances in the first half.
I thought,
first
you
half
know,
of the second half.
I thought they were clever, Leicester. They were really well organised, but they didn't come to part the bus.
You see, the difference is between playing a team that's just won the Championship and are nearly promoted, and playing a team who's just survived in the Premiership. One is in the habit of winning games, and the other one isn't. It's much more of a threat playing a team that's just come up from the Championship, and they're used to winning games because winning is a habit.
And they won the Championship.
They won it, yes.
Unlike Burnley.
Burnley got in by the back door, didn't they? Or was that somebody else?
No,
that was QPR.
That was Rangers. That was Zamora.
There's those idiots from West London. There's a bloke on a show after us who's a QPR fan. We should stay behind and heckle him, I think. Or just take his end.
He's looking at that, mate.
We'll just stay here. Say sorry, Pete. We've taken your end, mate.
We
like the old
literally
days.
Could do that over there.
Anyway, moving on. We mentioned Courtois, Thibaut Courtois, earlier on. And I mean, his save did actually, I think, change the match, and I think he should get a lot of credit for that, Pablo.
This is why I think his 7 rating was a little harsh, actually. Given
well, I thought that was, but in the scheme of things, it was quite good.
In the scheme of things, he kept us in the game, and he made everything a lot less of a problem than it could have been.
He catches the ball beautifully because he's such an enormous man. I hadn't realised.
And his distribution He's so quick getting it back out. There was one throw, he threw it out.
Yeah, it's the hazard.
It was, and he threw it about 45 yards and only 10 yards in from the touchline. I mean, that's a hell of a
Peter used to do that.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm so glad you reminded me of that, because I didn't write this down, funnily enough, but I did notice that actually his distribution, which, funnily enough, they used to knock when he was at Atleti, actually. But I love that throw out to, I think it must have been Aspie, who then very quickly passed it on to Schürrle, and within about 3 seconds we were almost in their penalty area, and it all started from that throw he did. That's fantastic, wasn't it?
It was so quick. It was so quick.
It was, wasn't it? And I like that. I have to say, I still find it a bit weird seeing him in goal and not Petr Cech,
yes.
Johnny. Yeah,
I agree completely.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it?
What's the manager to do? He's got a 22-year-old and a 32-year-old, and they want him to sign the contract, as he admitted.
Yeah, I know what
so
I
he's
would.
going to choose him.
I know what I would do if I was Petr Cech, though.
Leave.
No, I would go up to him at training and go, "Good morning." He is the policeman from Hello Hello. He is. He is the policeman from Hello Hello.
What effect would that have, Chidge?
I don't know. Do you know what the frightening thing is, Jonathan?
Yeah.
That series probably stopped being on TV
before he was
before
born.
he was even born.
Yes, you're right.
So
it wouldn't work at all, would it? Really, if you went that time? You'd think he was taking the mickey out of his Belgian accent.
I mean, the bottom line, exactly. The bottom line is that
and there'd be a fight.
There would be. Bottom line is that Courtois has absolutely settled in, I think, really, really well, and that's really, really pleasing to see, because it's a very important cog in the defensive unit, the goalkeeper.
Really?
Rather important. There we go. You see, you don't get that kind of analysis on Match of the Day, do you? Not even Alan Shearer or Robbie Savage are that retarded. No, only Chidge can do that kind of thing. He's rather important. The goalkeeper is rather important.
Are there any other aspects of the game you could tell us about that I don't know about, Chidge?
You need 11 players, otherwise it just all goes wrong.
Like 2 central defenders.
Exactly. No, but in all seriousness, he settled in really quickly, and that's actually good to see, because our defence was superb last season, and it was a real unit, and that's the point about the defence. It's a unit, and it doesn't seem, it's been seamless, and I'm really pleased about that.
He also doesn't flap at high balls when he comes in.
He doesn't need to.
Look, talking about Petr Cech, we were very, very briefly. We're going to be talking to Rob. We're going to be talking to Rob Shepherd very, very briefly later on the show about Petr Cech, because he's got some very interesting insight on what might be happening with him. Oh yes, do stay tuned for that. Now, benches, it would be lovely to hear what you have to think. Are you? I mean, are you still a bit weirded out by the fact that we've got Courtois in goal, or are you kind of thinking, well, what has to be has to be?
Well, has to be. It's still very weird not seeing Cech out there, but Courtois, so sure, so confident. That save he made was almost nonchalant, like it was, very easy. And that was a game-changing save. After that, we kicked on, we won 2-0.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I don't think it's a question of warming to Courtois at all, but it is a bit weird.
You know what he could do to make us all happier?
I don't know. What
he could wear Petr Cech's headgear.
He could go in disguise as Petr Cech.
Yeah, then we'd go, oh, it's Peter in goal.
I like that.
No problem.
I like that. People were bemoaning the fact on Twitter this week that Cech, never really had a proper song. I did remind them that there was that one that, was it Cech has got his hat on, hip, 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 hooray. Cech has got his hat on and he's coming in to play. Quite rightly, it was very brief, I think. We should have seen the riposte I got on Twitter, actually. Not quite as polite as that, Jonathan, has to be said.
Wasn't there one, there was what was the game that everybody was given a shout? Was it when we won the double? And everybody was given a shout, and somebody said, I remember somebody saying, there's no Petr Cech, so nothing for Petr Cech. There was a quick kind of, Petr Cech.
See, I like that. That could catch on a bit later. No, talking of new boys, we talked about Costa earlier on, and I'm really feeling a lot of man love for Costa. Although I don't think I've quite got the cojones to tell him to his face, because he looks.
Did you see a photo of him at Imperial Wharf after?
Yeah, the cash point, taken by somebody we know. I think
Rory.
It was Rory, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah,
the summer after professional footballers, aren't they just handed big wedges of money?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Yeah. The kind of Dr. Evil sort of, Costa, here's £1 billion. Don't spend it in the sweet shop.
I think we should do the whole of the show in that voice.
Zip. Sorry, www. Zip. I think what I really need next week to fill this space here, there should be a TV
Is
here.
a small boy.
No, a small
Crouching.
mini-me. I need a mini-me, a mini Chidge.
Okay.
Can you just get a cat instead?
Oh, yeah, I can stroke my pussy on the telly. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
I'm allergic to cats.
I just did a great Benny Hill gag there. Nobody even knows.
We ignored it completely. If
Mrs. Slocum.
if we've got a symbol of the fact you don't want
It's
to
a
be
family show.
don't want to be on the show anymore, you just bring a cat in.
I'll tell you what, I'll dye my hair blue in honour of Mrs. Slocum's, and I'll stroke my pussy on the TV.
Perfect.
Okay, can we move on now?
How many people will get
Have we
that?
got all the toilet
Nobody.
gags out of the way?
Nobody
You
will get
sure?
that. And I'll
All
come
right.
in and go, I'm free.
I'm free, Mr. Humphreys. Anyway, look, you've all done very, very well. Anyway, enough.
You're worse
Enough.
saying like
I know.
this, you two are.
I know. You just, Anyway, look, Costa, two goals in 2 games. I mean, that's just superb, isn't it? He scores in his home debut, scores in his full debut. I don't think he really played that well yesterday. But even when he doesn't play well, his movement is intelligent. Other than, unlike other strikers.
He took the goal really well because it was a deflection onto his chest.
Yeah,
and
he
twisted
did.
it down and
He did.
bashed it in.
Yeah,
totally
you can
right.
imagine Torres having a go at that and somehow
Torres
kicking it
would
over
be-
the bar.
yeah.
He'd have missed it.
Yeah, he would have.
Well, we've never got a shot in.
No, we wouldn't.
No, but the ball would have come
Standing
over
behind the
and he
Vanderbilt
would have
on the
missed
right
it.
wing.
I don't
I was
know.
watching the Aguero goal the other day in their first game. It was a great goal last night, but the other one where he had the shot and then fell over and then got up
again,
instantly to put it into the corner. What a great goal that was! You think that's the kind of goal Costa would score.
It was interesting that all of the big strikers in the league really have hit the ground running at the start of the season. So I think it's going to be interesting.
Very interesting.
But Costa's probably the biggest.
Other than Sturridge.
And probably the angriest.
Yeah.
No, it's very, very interesting. I'm going to go back to Branner a bit, actually. I'm just wondering about Branner, maybe one of the reasons. I mean, I know Pablo said, actually, he always starts seasons like this, which I think is a very fair point. I'm just wondering whether, Felipe Luis's arrival has, put a rocket up Branner, and he's maybe thinking, well, you know what? We're probably going to win the title this year. This is going to be a great team. I like playing for Mourinho. I don't want to be losing my place.
Yeah,
It's a very good point.
It's a very good point, which
Very
I
good point.
Was that as good as the goalkeepers are really quite important?
Oh no, it wasn't that good.
No.
But it's a very good point because I was actually going to mention that when we were talking about Courtois. Because my fear is if Cech does leave, which I hope he doesn't, is Courtois going to continue to be as good?
Yeah,
he'll
well,
have no pressure on him.
people said that about
He'll
Cech,
have the
didn't
place. Yeah. Well, no, because don't forget, for
Coutinho
the first
hung
2 or
around
3
for
years, he had
ages,
Coutinho.
Yeah. I hope Cech stays.
keep
And
him honest.
I just wonder as well, like, if and when, 'cause at some point, Courtois is going to make a mistake, and I imagine there'll be an immediate and massive clamour for Cech to come back.
He's also
in,
going to
so-
get injured. He did a couple of times last season, didn't he?
Yeah, you want 2 good goals. I mean, Jose's right. You want to have. I mean, if we have 2 world-class goalkeepers,
Perfect.
you can't ask for more than that. But I'm loving Branner, and I think the other thing I wanted to mention about Branner as well
keepers.
is
See, that disproves his
what,
point.
what have I done?
He says you need one keeper, but why not play with 2?
Yeah. Well, my famous.
One can't use his hands.
But
That's
I'm a
really
great
different.
fan of the
Play right
4.
back.
I'm a.
Could they use one hand each?
But I've always been a fan of the 4-4-4 formation,
Oh yeah.
which would accommodate 2 goalkeepers. But anyway, I just want a final word on Branner. I just think, Branner's becoming a real stalwart at the club, isn't it? I mean, one forgets actually how long Branner's been there for now. He really is one of the...
He didn't get anywhere near the team.
what he's been
I know.
this season.
It's been about a year.
But
I
he's
mean,
one of the
like,
senior players.
I mean, I think he's probably 3rd or 4th in line for captain's armband now. But I mean,
Must
just remember as well, he's had a full pre-season. Most of these players haven't, so maybe he's just naturally a higher level now than.
He plays with his heart on his sleeve,
is
doesn't
he
he?
now?
Oh, I don't know, late 20s, I would have thought. Benches, it'd be lovely to have a quick polite inquiry with you, benches. Benches, hands up, all of those who like Branner Ivanovic. Can we see the benches?
We love Branner.
They're all holding their hands
Can
up.
I see the benches,
I'll do it
please?
as if it's radio. They're all
Cut to the
holding their
benches.
hands up.
Bench's
Everyone's
hands
got
are in the
their
air.
The ones that we can see. Keep those hands up. We've got to
Hey! Oh, no!
Oh,
It's all
Harry's
gone
hand is
dark.
down. No.
Oh!
Hey!
I said it every time that happens. We got to go. Hey! All right. Hey!
Chidge's hand is up.
I love that.
It's a Branner wave. It's a Branner wave.
I tell you what, I'm loving it. I can hear they're all laughing in the gallery. I'd love to.
Is it that funny?
Obviously, it was. Anyway, talking of Brazilians,
It's a Branner wave.
I haven't had one.
that was quite a smooth link. That I
Can you
thought.
hear what I said then?
I thought it was quite a smooth link.
Oh, yeah, clever. I would say, yeah, clever, smooth.
I'll keep saying it until you
Yeah,
laugh.
until I get
all
it.
right?
Yeah.
No, anyway,
No, I've got it.
I thought Oscar looked a little bit better this week. I think he's beginning to up his game. As you said, Pablo, it worried me. I wrote the article in CFC UK about this. The Brazilians worried me. A lot of the guys that were at the World Cup worried me because psychological damage, played a lot, you know, not a lot of pre-season.
There were some really impressive flashes from Oscar the other day. Like
really?
Yeah.
Well, like Clive Walker. We can't possibly say things like that.
Allegedly. But isn't he playing him out of position though? He's not playing a central midfield role. He's playing him on the left a lot more, Oscar, isn't he?
Not really. I mean,
well, you've got to ask yourself.
Has been allowed a freer role, but fundamentally Oscar's in the middle.
But you've got to ask yourself, you know, if he's supposed to be the number 10, why is he wearing number 8?
Because Drogba wanted number 11. Hazard is number 10. Hazard has to have number 10. Hazard actually had number 10 last year.
But he's a wide player, isn't he?
It doesn't matter. Hazard wanted number 10, and he got number 10.
Otherwise, Hazard goes
Perhaps
to
Mass
Monaco.
is not there.
Oscar had 11, and then Drogba came back.
No, Drogba had 15.
Oi, jog on, Oscar.
Drogba had 15 originally.
Well, I don't. Who cares? Let the fanboys deal with that rubbish.
Why does Oscar find himself out on the left-hand side a lot?
No, I thought
He's in the middle.
Because Hazard goes in the middle.
And they interchange.
Yeah.
I thought Oscar's hair looked really good
productive
this week.
when he's out on the left-hand side.
Right.
It's really sharp, the haircut.
Ramirez making his first little bit of appearance in the game. It's nice to see his touch.
He had a shot.
As absent as ever.
He did.
He went miles over the bar. It was like he was trying to replicate the semi-final goal.
Do you know what? This is a kind of like always a really bad thing, I think, that happens when I'm at Chelsea. But if I start laughing at a player, you know that their time could well be up. And I have to say, I did laugh a bit at Ramirez when he did a few boo-boos. And I've done that, you know.
Until he's hit the scoreboard, like Malouda did.
Didn't Mourinho bring him on after the second goal to try and shut the shop?
No, I think he did it to give Leicester a chance, possibly.
Well,
no, but what I'm thinking is he brought him on to try and you know, just fill up the midfield.
Yeah.
And then he started making all these runs.
I would be shocked if he didn't start against Everton. So I think we'll probably go with a deeper three. I think Ramirez will come in for Oscar against Everton, so he needs game time.
Yeah, I think he does, but I'd rather not have that happen against Everton, who will be a tough proposition, I think.
Which is why he'll play instead of Oscar, because at least he tries to kick people, or successfully kicks people.
Okay.
Well, I thought he actually looked very sharp when he came
Look,
off.
finally, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, we've got to talk about Drogba. Wonderful reception for him, wasn't it, Jonathan?
Brilliant.
Oh,
really
fantastic.
lovely to see.
But
Roman.
deservedly so. One of the great Chelsea players.
I know, real heroes welcome. And I thought actually he did a couple of really nice touches as well.
Did.
You know, I love it. You know, I've kind of rumbled why Drogba's come back. Right.
He wants the adulation.
Yeah, he's on a farewell tour.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the Rolling Stones last ever, or the Who this year. Drogba's basically phoned up Mourinho and said, "Look, I know I'm past it, and I know you're struggling a bit for strikers and stuff, but wouldn't it be funny if I came back, you know, which makes you look great because because everybody loves me, and it gives me a chance to say bye-bye to all of the Chelsea supporters all season."
He said, I'm not going to run around much. I'll just hold the ball up,
come
flick
on
it
for
off to
10
someone else
minutes,
running on.
I'll have a couple of volleys that go wide.
His wife and kids stayed here in the first place, so anyway, his kids are still in school here, so it's a sensible thing.
You're just such a
anyway.
karma killer, Pablo.
Yeah.
I had a lovely theory.
I don't know why he ever left. I'd have thought the perfect thing after he scored that goal. People said, no, it's great, it's for his career, he scored the penalty, and he left. I thought, well, surely that's an opportunity to carry on.
Well, it can't get any better than
Look,
that.
very
can it? You give up when you're on top.
A break.
Come back.
And then you come back to a standing ovation.
Order. A break is imminent.
Leave them begging for more. You know that from show business.
Shut up. Shut up. I've got to go to a break. But listen, later on we're going to be picking up with Rob Shepherd as to why Torres might be going. Anyway, we've got to go. We'll see you in a minute.
And who are we going to replace him
with? We'll be
with?
back in a sec.